Welcome to the Unlist. New video, new red pullover. Not the same pullover I wear in my other videos. It's still red, it's still a pullover, but it's a different one, right? So that should make a difference in this video. The last video I discussed what I felt were 4 of my most unpopular opinions, and I invited all of you to also give yours. Likewise, the last of those 4 unpopular opinions dealt with my opinion that people who claim they have a favorite fragrance typically don't wear that fragrance anywhere near as much as they like to say they do. And if they are on a website like Base Notes or Fragrantica, and they track their wears, you will see that the fragrances they actually wear the most are nowhere near the ones they claim are their favorites. Not everyone. There are some people who stick to their guns and they say, okay, Polo is my favorite fragrance, and you can see they've worn Polo like 500 times. But the vast majority of people will say that X, Y, and Z is their favorite, but really it's A, B, and C they're reaching for. And we made a connection to dumb reaches at the end of that video. And I said I would do another video talking more about dumb reaches, that we would push it to the next video. And well, this is that next video, hence the title and all that stuff. So this is a sort of segue from that 4th unpopular opinion point into the concept of dumb reaches. And do we think the term dumb reach actually should apply in this case? Like, what's the deal? Let's put on our Seinfeld hat and be like, what's the big deal? What's with these dumb reaches, right? So here's what I think. Personally, I think the concept of dumb reach had an honorable purpose to it initially. Like, the point of christening fragrance dumb reach is to effectively shine a light on the fact that you're reaching for something a whole lot more than you may think you are, because it's so good and you're so instinctively drawn to it, you just grab it and put it on. You don't have to think about whether it's going to wear well, about whether it's going to perform well. You don't have to think about whether it's actually going to be a pleasant and or effective wear of fragrance. You just know that it works, so you reach for it. Hence that whole term dumb reach, because you're not thinking. You're not sitting over your collection going like this and then picking it up and then smelling the sprayer and going nah and putting it back, and then grabbing the other one and then pulling the cap up and going nah and putting it back. You're not doing that with a dumb reach fragrance. You're just going, I know that's good, I want to grab that, put it on, whatever, out the door you go, right? You don't have to think about it. So it's dumb reach. However, I think the original noble purpose of that term got corrupted. I won't say perverted necessarily, not like it's a bad thing in the sense of, oh, it's now twisted and dark and evil, like, you know, a Sith Lord or something. But it got corrupted in the sense that it began to see use so liberally in the online fragrance community. The term dumb reach became applied so liberally that it sort of lost all real meaning, right? And that's the crux of the discussion I'm having today in this video, is that we apply the term dumb reach to basically anything that we like a lot, anything that we deem is versatile or easy to use, doesn't really have a specific time or season where you can wear it. We just go, I like this, I wear it a lot, this works in a lot of situations. It's just a really well-made fragrance, really balanced, really even-keeled. So we're going to call it a dumb reach because it has the potential to be reached for like that. But we also fail to realize that some people, Koros is a dumb reach. Some people, Oud Infinity is a dumb reach. Some people, Poison, right, is a dumb reach. So we can't really apply that aesthetic value to the phrase dumb reach. We can't really conflate dumb reach for versatile, easy to wear fragrance. And it's unfair to the term and its original purpose of being, all right, We call the things we reach for without thinking because we know we like them. We call those dumb reaches. We start calling things dumb reaches that may not be dumb reaches for some people. Things that people are actually not necessarily on board with wearing without consideration first, right? Like, there are people out there who don't consider something like green Irish tweed a dumb reach, even though there are a lot of folks in the community who do think that's a very dumb reach potential fragrance, right? Likewise, there are people who go, yeah, Sauvage is a dumb reach, Bleu de Chanel is a dumb reach, Aventus is a dumb reach. And yeah, I guess for the kind of person drawn to those fragrances, okay, that's the underlying thing here. The kind of person drawn to those fragrances, yeah, that might be a dumb reach for them. But to try and effectively turn the phrase dumb reach into a genre of fragrance, there's a certain aesthetic quality, a certain combination of notes, a certain level of projection or performance expected. You have to tick these boxes. And then you tick the boxes, and this is a dumb reach fragrance. I feel like that is misleading. That the term really applies on a more personal level. It applies to the individual. You decide for yourself what your dumb reaches are by virtue of tracking your wares. You look at your wares and you go, all right, I've worn a whole lot of this Azzaro Pour Homme, like in my case. You know, that's a dumb reach for me. Black suede, I've worn more than any other fragrance in my life, but that is not a very versatile fragrance. It is not an easy to wear fragrance. It's a rather difficult to wear fragrance for a lot of people, but for me it's a dumb reach because I just love it. And when I can't think of what else to put on, when I don't know what suits my mood, I'm like, black suede. I don't even care. It could be summertime. I've been like, you know what? I don't care. It's 90 degrees outside, black suede. It's whatever. Yeah, it's amber. Yeah, it's got a makeup note. Yeah, it's leather. It's got all the hides and spices. Really the worst possible thing to wear in high humidity and high heat. But I'm like, you know what? Black suede. I don't care. And then I suffer the consequences for that throughout the day. But in that moment, brain empty, you know, head empty, no thoughts, only black suede, okay? So that's a dumb reach for me. Now, the other thing, which is relating back to the previous video, right, where I talked about people who will say that X, Y, and Z is their favorite, but then actually A, B, and C are what they reach for the most. It's the whole thing about, well, are dumb reaches really just your favorite fragrances and you haven't come to terms with it? Do you have some weird, pretentious stance on your perfume taste? Or do you have these weird hang-ups about what you're allowed to say is your favorite? You think it has to be something very artistic, something very challenging or forward-thinking, or something controversial, something rich and redolent with whatever notes you think are more sophisticated, more respectable, like oud or sandalwood, or you know, a really natural, strong, potent lavender note, not like a lavandin, but like something from like a French lavender, like an actual good lavender absolute type of a note, like something like that, an elevated sort of petitgrain, citrus refined thing, or a really rich rose scent, something that you think, if you were to point at that fragrance and go, that's my favorite, people would respect you more. You know, you can't be like, oh, Curve is my favorite fragrance because I've worn more Curve than anything else in my life. It's my go-to when I want to smell good, right? That makes you sound like a chump to some people in this community. Not to me. Not to me. Not to me. But for a lot of people who are like this, they're just up their own asses in the worst possible way. They're the kind of people who are the ones that come after me for my unpopular opinions, right? For 1 and 2, which is let people like things and there are no rules. The folks who will draw the sword and challenge me to a duel because I'm saying you can wear whatever you want and that you should be able to like whatever you want. Those folks, you know, the bad faith arguers, the defenders of the standard, right? We defend the standard of what's decent and right and good taste in this community. And, You just can't tell people they can wear whatever they want, or that there are no rules, or that they're allowed to like things that we think are terrible. Like, no, you can't do that. You know, must fight for the honor of good taste and whatever. So those are the same people that are going to do nothing but give you grief because you say Curve is your favorite fragrance, right? Or Cool Water is your favorite fragrance. Or hell, it could be Sauvage. I don't care. I don't care. Let Sauvage be your favorite fragrance if that's what you wear the most. If you feel more comfortable in your own skin, which is the point of wearing fragrance, right? That's the point. If you feel more comfortable in your own skin wearing Sauvage, wear Sauvage, right? Just don't wear like more than 2 sprays, please. You will fumigate the whole place if you wear more than 2 sprays of that. But that's my point. But no, you don't. You say, no, my favorite fragrance is Ganymede or something like that. Or I'm a big fan of, my all-time favorite is Blessed Baraka by Initio. It's not even one of the popular Initios, okay? It's not one of the popular ones. You could have said Rehab. You could have said Oud for Greatness, but no, you're like, Blessed Baraka is my favorite Initio. It's one of the early ones that no one remembers. It's not a bad fragrance. I've reviewed it, but I'm just throwing that out there. You'd rather name one of those kind of fragrances, or you're the guy that wants the cred in the vintage circles, right? You want the vintage cred. So you're like, Balenciaga Pour Homme is my favorite fragrance. Petou Pour Homme is my favorite fragrance. Oh, well, my favorite fragrance is the original 1998 bottles of Gucci Envy Pour Homme. That's my favorite fragrance right there. Gucci Envy for Men. You know, that's my all-time favorite. I love that more than anything else. Oh, you know what? Guess what? I like Dunhill Blend 30. That's my favorite fragrance. You know, something along those lines, right? Something that sells for hundreds of dollars, really rare, really uppity, gets everyone oohing and eyeing. You know, if you strut out there and say, my favorite fragrance is Gucci Nobile from 1988, and you go like this, you shake your butt back and forth. It's my favorite fragrance. That's going to get a lot more people going than if you say, oh, well, Drakkar Noir is my favorite fragrance. I've worn more Drakkar Noir in my life than anything else. People are like, okay, sure, whatever. But you're like, no, it's Gucci Nobile. Suddenly everyone is like, at you, right? So you're going to pick that as your favorite fragrance. But then we come and we audit your wares, right? We go onto your wardrobe page on Fragrantica or your wardrobe page on Base Notes, and we're like, okay, for one, he doesn't even own a bottle of Gucci Nobile. He's got samples. All right. 2, he's worn it all of 4 times. All of 4 times. And all 4 of those wares were like within a week or 2 of each other. And then we scroll through and we find out that the thing he's actually worn the most of is Tommy Cologne from like 94. And we're like, ah, look, it's a poser. He's a pretender. You know, burn her. She's a witch. She turned me into a newt. I got better. Whatever, right? That whole thing happens. So, circling back, it doesn't make sense to me to have favorite fragrances and then not wear them. To not actually live your truth, to actually walk that walk and just talk a good game. My favorite fragrances is this, this, and this, but when we look up on you, you're actually wearing something that's completely, maybe you think it's disposable, that you can replace it more often, so you do the whole, well, this is rare and it's scarce, so I can't wear it. Oh, I can't wear it. It's my favorite fragrance, but I can't replace the bottle. It's so rare, right? So I just kind of put it up, and I put like a little glass dome over it, like the rose from Beauty and the Beast, while the petals are falling off one by one and it's dying, right? And you're like, you just stare at it. You're like, ah, my favorite fragrance that I haven't worn in like 5 years, but it's my favorite. You see, that's something I had to deal with myself. This is going to be a little bit of me kind of outing myself here, throwing myself under the bus for once, right? I was that person. I was that person. I was that person that said, My favorite fragrance is Yves Saint Laurent Pour Homme from 1972 or 71, is it? Doesn't matter. That was my favorite fragrance. I loved it so much. I talked about how much I loved that fragrance, you know, but I hardly ever wore it because I only had one bottle of it and I was afraid of using it up. So what did I do? I wore anything and everything else in my collection to avoid touching it. And I did that with Balenciaga Pour Homme. Speak of the devil, right? There we go. I am not afraid to call myself out on stuff. I call all y'all out on stuff, so I call myself out too. We have to live and learn, people. We have to learn and grow and become better versions of ourselves. And the only way we can do that is to face the truth when we have done a stupid, right? And I have done plenty of stupids. So I am now telling you some of the stupids I've done. And I have done that. I have had that bottle of Balenciaga Pour Homme just sit there. And I'm like, I love this. This is my favorite fragrance. Oh, you have no idea how much I love this. But then it's like last worn, and it's like April of 2019. So, whoa, you must not like it that much. You haven't touched it in 4 years. So, you see? Meanwhile, back in Gotham City, right? Back in Gotham City, I'm racking up literal dozens and dozens of wares on stuff like Aqua de Selva. Why? It's a good fragrance. I am not ashamed of having like 45, 50 wares of Aqua de Selva. I'm not ashamed of that. But I've never once mentioned that as being anywhere near one of my favorite fragrances. I'm always like, oh no, it's my bottle of Paco Rabanne Tenere from 1988, my bottle of Furio, my Cybaris, my Rochas Globe. Those are my favorite fragrances. I love them so much. Meanwhile, they've got dust on them. All the bottles have dust on them because the scarcity, the rarity, can't touch them. So I just wear Curve and blue jeans and Tommy cologne over and over and over and over and over again. So then I'm like, well, what are my favorite fragrances? Right? And then that's when I changed my tune. I started going, well, you know what? As much as I love these fragrances, and I put them on a pedestal for being what I think is fragrance art, for being high concept fragrance art executed in a masterful way, and a great deal of them are discontinued, so there's a little bit of that, you know, psychology factored in, right? But I'm not calling them my favorite fragrances anymore, because clearly they're not. Clearly I like to have them as museum pieces, and in some cases, all right, because you live, you learn. In some cases, I've bought backup bottles. I have started wearing the one bottle I have. If I only have one bottle, wearing the one bottle I have more often, you know. Actually enjoy the thing I spent money on, because it's stupid to spend money on it and then not enjoy it. It's not an investment piece. I don't plan on ever selling it to anybody, to flipping it, to wait for it to go up in value and then flip it over. I'm not that kind of guy. I don't do that. So that's not why it's in my collection. So you use it or you lose it, right? So I started wearing it more and getting to know the fragrances a little more and actually enjoying them. So now I can say, since the pandemic, it's been a couple of years, right? This is back in 2020, 21, when I was going through this little problem I'm describing to you guys. Now I've racked up dozens of wares on some of these fragrances. You know, I've worn Globe a lot. I've worn a lot of these. Cybaris I've worn a lot. I could stand to wear Balenciaga Pour Homme a little more, granted, but it's very strong fragrance, and I got to be in the mood for that, right? I can't always wear that all the time. So point is, I have started wearing them more often. But when someone asks me what my favorite fragrances are, I don't tell them my favorite fragrances. I tell them my most worn fragrances. And those are the Azzaro, the Eau Sauvage, the Moustache, the Black Suede, Aqua de Jo, the Tommy, the Curve, okay, Terre d'Hermes, all the Terre d'Hermes fragrances, every single one of them. That's all stuff that I can claim to be my true favorite fragrances, the things I reach for more often than anything else. And they are dumb reaches too, because I don't think about it. I grab Terre de Hermes and don't think about it. I grab Tommy and don't think about it. You know, I grab Azzaro and Eau Sauvage and Moustache and don't think about any of this. I just go, nope, these smell good and these are going on my skin, going to have a good time. Going to have a good time, you know, that's it. So, what are they? Are they dumb reaches? Do dumb reaches actually exist? Or, and this is where I'm going to wrap this video up for you guys, are dumb reaches actually our favorite fragrances? That's the title of the video, right? Dumb reaches, or are they actually favorites? That's the question I leave to you. I'll let you answer that question in the comments below. Thank you for watching the Unlist, and I will catch you next time.